and on time. And we want to give out good information, but we want to still honor your time and giving out this information. It is Women's History Month, and I'm so excited about what we're going to do today in celebrating some women who demonstrate who we are as One Nashville. Let us pray. Oh God, we pause just to say thank you for another day's journey. We thank you for this opportunity to gather here as people who believe in being one with one another. We ask, oh God, that you continue to bless each and every one of us individually, that you will bless our community and city, and that we may be available to do the things that we need to do to carry out your divine commission within this community. Let everything that be said and done today be. I'm going to do a brief devotional for Women's History Month. Good morning for Women's History Month. And I'm going to borrow this because I'm speaking this morning at a tea, at my hearing. And I'm going to be talking about the story of Vashti. And you may know the story of what's her name? The lady Esther. You might know it's in the book of Esther. You may know the story of Esther, but before there was an Esther, there was a Vashti. And Vashti was married to the king of Ahasuerus. And they were throwing all these big parties, and had a party for the women, and he had a party for the guys. And you know how things can go down. The guys were like, "Oh, King Ahasuerus deserves something on the virgin. Your wife is so fine and beautiful. You know, they've been drinking. You know how that goes."
Hey, talk to the mic because YouTube.
Oh yeah, okay. Drinking, and you know how that goes, and so the guys were like, "Your wife is so fine. You know, she looked good. I've been wanting to tell you this, but now that I'm drunk, I can just tell you how good she looked." Xerxes like, "I know she fine. You know, won't you just come and let her walk around and demonstrate how fine she is?" So Xerxes sent a message to Vashti and said, "Won't you come in here and parade naked in front of my boys with just your heels on and your crown?" And she sent a message back and said she wasn't. And so her telling the king that she wasn't was a big deal because in those times, women had to do what the king told them to do, and she risked losing her crown. And if you know the story, Vashti refuses to go, and the guys are like to the king, "Bro, you know how they say bro now. Bro, you got to do something with your woman, because if other women, if my wife sees your wife acting like that, she going to think she can act like that with me." And so they had to get rid of her, that he got rid of her as the queen. Not because he really wanted to, it's because he felt pressured by the other men not to stand up for his wife and respect her decision. That's why my favorite scene in Black Panther is when I don't know her name, the bald-headed lady, and you know her, she's fighting against her husband, right? And he says to her in the fight scene, he said, "Are you willing to kill me? Are you willing to kill me for the sake of Wakanda?" And she said, "Yes." And, and he got on his knees and bowed down before her because he respected her decision. So guess what, women? You are powerful beyond measure. You have more power than you don't, because of the way our first woman and first African-American woman to sit in family court. And then look at our council. We've elected a lot of women in council this year. And we will continue to rise up and be the women that God has called us to be. And men, we appreciate you, for we hope that in the gates and in your homes you will call us blessed. All right. But it ain't nothing without a woman. Woman of the words. Okay, I know the words. I know the words. Pastor John, we're going to call a man perspective. Okay.
This is the moderator of our Nashville City Baptist Association of 20 churches.
Said I got 5 minutes, but I don't need 5 minutes. Just about 3. No, not this time. Not this time. It's good to be here. I'm excited because I've known Stephanie for a while, and to see her go into judgeship, I can't find her. Okay, I've known her for a while. To see her to go into judgeship is just a great thing. And then I'm here for 2 reasons. Number one, I try to make it to First One Nashville, and then number 2, of course, one of my members will be honored this morning. And the most amazing reason why I came was because she's never on time at church at 10 o'clock. So I had to see if she was going to make it here at 8 o'clock, and she didn't. But I do know she's close because I talked to her. But when I think about leadership, leadership is a powerful position. It requires, the only way you can be a leader is you have to have followers. And it's important for us to understand that only what we do for Christ will last. That is the one thing that I wanted to focus on. And I'm done. But I wanted to tell this little story, and then I'm in my seat. Alexander the Great, when he saw himself on his deathbed, called in his greatest generals. He gave them 3 specific instructions. He said, when I die, I want my casket carried by my best doctors. He said, I want all my gold and ruby. Number 2, I want all my gold and silver and rubies to line the road to travel to take my casket. And then he said, I want both of my hands outside the casket. Troubled, his generals asked him why he would make such a request. He said, well, I want the world to see that even the greatest doctors can't conquer death. He said, I need the world to see that all your riches stays on earth with you. Third, he said, I want my hands out because I want folk to see I came into this world with nothing, and I'm going to leave with nothing. His final words was, what you do for yourself dies with you, but what you do for others will last forever. Oh, now you're trying to give me more time. A minute ago, you were trying to take time away from me. Let us pray, and my member has made it. Amen. Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this morning. We thank you for this privilege to be here. We thank you for One Nashville leadership, Reverend Fuzz. We thank you for Judge Hayes, and we just thank you so much for all that you are doing throughout this city and through this great organization. Now bless today, God, as we try to make a difference in the lives of ourselves and others. As you bless this meeting, bless those that were conducted, those that would do presentations, those that will be recipients of honors today. And we give you glory in Jesus' name. Amen.
Well, good morning again, and thank you, Pastor. We appreciate you and your leadership in the city, honestly. We are excited for Women's Month today, and I'm glad that Pastor Joyner talked on this subject of leadership. And today we are going to have 3 different speakers today. I will be keeping time this week, and each of them is going to talk about leadership positions they hold in Nashville. And all of them, of course, are women as we celebrate Women's History Month. And this morning we have Judge-elect Stephanie Williams. I know she had a voice challenge this week, so we'll see how she's going to help us out this morning. She's going to talk about her court. Judge Williams, it will be stepping in as the Fourth Circuit Court judge, and that court is very important as it is the court that handles family law as it pertains to adults and custodial issues with children in marital situations. The court, which I'm looking forward to, also handles orders of protection, and Judge Williams is no stranger to it, as she served as a magistrate for Judge Phil Smith, and she heard plenty of orders of protections and handled lots of the divorce matters in that court. So we'll be hearing from her first, and then we'll be hearing from Judge Andrew Hedrick, and I'm glad I could just call these people up and get them here. Judge Hedrick, I could just say a lot of things about her. She's newly elected. She's been the probate court judge for 18 months. I know that because I've been a judge for 18 months, and so we were elected together. The probate court is really Seventh Circuit, right? Correct. The Seventh Circuit Court. So there are 8 circuits, and they can talk a little bit about why they're labeled family and probate, but there's Seventh Circuit, which does probate. And so last week we had some questions about insurance and probate issues and handling matters as we leave this world. And Judge Hedrick is an expert on this, not just because she's the judge, but she's edited and written and advised and consulted on the encyclopedia for probate law in Tennessee. So we're going to be hearing from some. She is an expert in this. And going over into my world, we're going to be hearing from Miss Janetta Nelson this morning. She is the Director of Probation Services here in Nashville. So you may hear people or know people who have been on probation, and they have to comply with drug screens and other kinds of things. And she's going to talk a little bit about her office and how she helps people to navigate the probation process to prevent them from reoffending and ending up in jail again. So all three have about 12 to 15 minutes to come and share about their perspective, and each one of them will be able to answer questions. Do you want to take yours? Do you want to go last, Judge Williams, to give you a little break, or? Okay, all right. Why don't we start with Ms. Nelson and talk about probation, and then go into the circuit court areas. And I get to work with her and as the General Sessions Court judge, and she's also my sorority sister.
I'm a little height restricted. Good morning. I think this is earlier than I get up on Saturdays. So General Sessions Court probation is just another form of what we will call restorative justice. It's another opportunity for somebody to get it right. When I became director of probation, I believe it was 2019, as the interim director, there were a lot of things that I wanted to change. I wanted to make sure that the department was diverse. I wanted to make sure it was inclusive. A lot of people did not know that I literally grew up probably about 3 or 4 blocks from this very church. So I understand the needs of the people and what we're looking at when they come into the justice system. With that being said, in 2021, right in the middle of COVID, when everything was just going astray, we developed a program with the help of Judge Walker, where we had a job fair. We had various job placement people that came in, Crystals, the new place down on Fifth Avenue in Broad. We had Slim and Husky, a lot of different employers. They wanted the opportunity to hire people on the spot. So we probably got about 30 people hired on the spot, which is amazing when you have a criminal record. Because a lot of people feel like when you have a criminal record, there's a lot that you cannot do. So we wanted to change that. So we had one job fair. It was very successful. Then we turned around and had another one. So we were very successful in doing those. Not only that, we developed a pantry where people on probation could come to our department and they could get food. Not only food, but they could get clothing. If you go on a job interview, you want to make sure that you're appropriate. And so people think of this as, oh, well, that's different for people in criminal justice. You're providing clothing for people? Yes. We're not just locking you up. That's not our goal. We're literally here to help you. We're here to meet you where you are. We're here to help you develop every skill that we know that you have. We're here to give you resources. If you don't have transportation, we provide bus passes. We adopted a school last year, Hattie Cotton Elementary. Just something the whole department wanted to do as a whole. In doing that, we literally go out to that school and we read. We do Lunch Buddy. We adopted children for Christmas. Now, this is something that does not come out of anything related to Metro. This is strictly out of our budget or what we do financially from our own pockets. So please do not think this comes out of Metro budget taxpayer money, because it doesn't. So those are the type of things that I wanted to do. I wanted to get outside of the four walls, to be more active in the community. So when you come into probation, you're going to see a different side of things. You're not just going to see people that are angry and upset. You're going to see people that are there to help you. You're going to see people with a smile. You're going to see people there to do a job, to provide resources. We are there to help judges like Judge Kimbrough, who is very passionate about the community. And so every day we're coming with something innovative. Like, what can we do next? I am all about training for my staff. You know, there's always something new to learn. I learn something new every day. So I think that's very important as well. Whenever you call me, I'm going to try to figure out something, whatever I can do to help. This man over here calls 20 times a day. Literally 20 times a day. But I help him in every way that I can. Whenever somebody's in trouble, that's just what we're supposed to do as a community. And that's what I think my job is to do. It's not just to be the director of probation. It's to show the people in my department, the employees, that we're more than just the four walls. And so I was grateful to get the position because that's something that I wanted to do. Anything else? Okay, so probation is, we're misdemeanor. So anything 11 months and 29 days or less, but a person can be on probation for 2 years. But each sentence has to be 1129 or less. So we don't deal with felony charges. It can range from drug possession, theft, assault. We have a specialized DV team, and we're the only one in Tennessee that has that in our department. So we have 3 judges that deal with domestic violence, and our team of specialized officers, they are the only ones that go in that division and help handle everything related to domestic violence. I also developed a team of community resource individuals as well as a training department. And so throughout all of that, we're able to accommodate every single judge. We have 11 divisions. So you can imagine there are 11 different ways of doing things. Every judge has their needs, just like every individual that we encounter, they have their needs and there are different resources. One thing, So when you're coming through the justice system, you go through DCSO, which is the sheriff's office. And let me say, we not only handle people on probation, so that's another thing. We also have a specialized group of individuals that do DUI bond. DUI bond deals with individuals who haven't even pled guilty yet. So if you get out of jail and you're given conditions, even prior to going to court, let's just say you get arrested for a DUI, and the commissioner, the magistrate says, hey, I want you to get drug testing. I also want you to get an interlock device. Well, you're gonna come to our department. You're gonna meet some people who are gonna start supervising you. You're not on probation yet. However, that's our job to make sure that you're following the conditions that were placed on you. So we also handle those individuals as well. And that caseload is daily. As people come off, people go on. And I'm sure you all know that DUIs are rising in Nashville. So that caseload is always going up and up and up.
What's the number one probation issue?
It would be DUI and domestic violence, I think, range. They're right there together. Domestic violence and DUI. I have 2 non-English speaking probation officers. Those 2 alone carry a caseload that is the highest in the whole department. The absolute highest in the whole department. So that tells you that individuals that don't speak English, whether it's Spanish or another native language, they're getting arrested and they're being placed on probation. And so with that being said, I've just hired my 3rd non-English speaking probation officer because it is overwhelming. When you have an excess of 200 people on probation, there is no way that you can thoroughly manage every single thing that they are doing. But yet you have to. So those are the things that we're having to try to weed through in the department, because as people come on, people come off, but daily people are going to court, so you're still getting people. Domestic violence numbers are high. Mr. Bryant, Pastor Bryant here, he works in domestic violence, so he can tell you. There are so many things that we're trying to tackle in the court system that we are barely even touching the surface. Are we short-staffed? Most definitely. Most people are. But we're doing the best we can to make sure that everything is being handled properly and efficiently. You know, we're working different shifts to make sure everything is managed. I have people coming in at 7 o'clock a.m., staying to 5.
Wow. Can you talk about how does one get on probation? How do
Okay.
I get on probation?
So that was the side of the DUI bond. So even before you go to court, you're getting put on by the magistrate with conditions. We're monitoring those. So the people that don't have a DUI, let's just say you have a domestic violence charge. You get out of jail, you come to court on your first court date. It's a settlement docket. You may not plea or you may plead guilty. If the judge puts you on probation, the domestic violence, you then speak to a probation officer. At that time, you're giving all the conditions that you're required to follow. If it's a low probation, which is somebody that may not have been arrested before, that doesn't have a drug or alcohol problem, that we feel like we can manage with just a low, moderate area type of supervision, you're gonna check in once a month. Now, mind you, we're getting a lot of high-risk people. And so we're having to tweak what we do to be able to monitor those individuals. A lot of people are getting rearrested. That's what we're dealing with now. They're being rearrested over and over again. So what do? We have to file violations. It's not necessarily what we want to do, but for public safety, that's what we have to do.
I have a question.
Mhm.
When they get rearrested, they pay their fines and their dues, and they stay in there for a period of time, do they have to go back and do all of their time, which they was originally sentenced for, or just the remaining of their time?
So it all depends on what the judge does. So just because you're rearrested, it doesn't mean you're going to get violated. It depends on what happens with the case. So some cases, if you get rearrested, may be dismissed. Let's just say it's a driver license charge. It may get dismissed. And then you're still placed back on probation to complete the terms of your probation. So basically, you're getting another opportunity to get it right. A lot of people on DUIs, it's sad but true, they're gonna still drive. And they don't have a valid driver license. They're going to still drive without a valid driver license. And that's a huge problem.
So how many times can they be rearrested before they're actually put in jail for a long period of time? 1129, 2 years or whatever?
That's up to the district attorney and whoever their representative is, as far as their attorney, and then what the judge accepts. We're there to present what the probation violation is, and then everybody in the court, the attorneys, they work it out.
Tell us how we can help with One Nashville, how community support as you close out. What are some things that we could do to support your work as a probation officer? I know for me, I'm always looking for services for the folks that are on probation. How can we support you?
And that's exactly what we need. We need services. We don't have a social worker, so we're wearing the hat of a probation officer, a social worker, an advocate. We need resources. So if you know resources, please let me know. If you want to tap into some domestic violence things, we're going to communicate soon. We need things that people can do. And a lot of other people on probation, they have mental health issues. We have a mental health court, but they can't accommodate everybody. And so we need additional resources for those individuals. We need to be able to tackle every single thing in order to keep them from coming back. And I will say, as far as probation, our recidivism rates are really low. We're doing everything we can to make sure people do not reoffend. I mean, they're really low. I think it was maybe like 0.13, considering we have 3,000 people on probation.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that lower rate of return, can you correlate it with some of the initiatives that you have started since you took over this program?
I can. Definitely being more proactive. Being more proactive in having the bus passes, having some of the resources that are available now, and just going in the community, it definitely has helped. And then some of the judges have come on with a more community mind and wanting to do different things, so it helps. It's not all about locking them up, it's about giving them some resources.
Hi, I'm sorry. I used to work with Sherry Huey.
Okay.
I used to work at Goodwill, so I used to come in and assist with resources. So do you all still have the resource fairs, or are you getting that out to the community or have some information to give while you're here? Because for people that want to come out with different resources, or is Sherry still the go-to person?
We still have resources. We keep a list of felony jobs. We keep a list of misdemeanor jobs, places where everybody can go. We keep a list of homeless shelters, everything that anybody on probation could use. Now, the key is, do they take it? That's the key. Everybody doesn't want the help. So we could use anything that you have. If you want to share something with me, that's fine. But yeah, we still have a lot of resources, and we hand them out. We hand them out.
Yeah, it is tough, to get
Yeah.
people on board. Well, thank you so much. Thank you. Now we have Judge Hedrick to come forward, please. She is the probate court judge. Take your time. Take your time. And I like this idea about having a resource fair.
Well, I'm gonna leave them up here and just talk about them a little bit, and then if anybody wants some, okay. Well, I don't know if I have enough. We'll see. All right. Well, hello, everybody. I'm Andrea Hedrick. I'm the probate judge. And I tell you, I'm so happy that I learned today more about probation because I get that question all the time. You know, they hear the word probate and they say, does that have something to do with probation? And I mean, they do that. I mean, question all the time. And I say, no, it doesn't. And then I turn to explain what probate is, but I always have a hard time explaining what probation is because that's not the kind of law that, you know, I ever did. So thank you for the information today. I want to just give you some really basic things, which is our court is the Seventh Circuit Court, as Robin said. We are on the 6th floor of the historic Metro Courthouse. We're on the same floor as newly elected Stephanie Williams. So our 6th floor will now have 4 courtrooms, and 3 out of the 4 courtrooms will have women as judges. How about that? No disrespect to men, no disrespect, but we just all need a seat at the table. That's all it is. Okay. So the types of things we do in our court are really different from all the other courts. You know, we don't do car wrecks, we don't do med mal cases, we don't do contract disputes. We do things that are involved with decedents' estates, so people who've passed, conservatorship, so that's folks who are adults but are under a disability and don't have anybody serving as their power of attorney for them. We do guardianships for minors who have inherited property. And we also do some other little things like, you know, legal name changes and some cases involving trusts and so forth. So when you have that kind of case, you really don't have a choice of what court you're going to. You're going to Seventh Circuit Court because it's a specialty court, and that's what we do and love. It's an incredibly busy court. I had no idea how busy until I got the job. And then it kind of sunk in that it was between 2,400 and 2,500 new cases every single year. And we have to hear all of them. You know, we don't, even if they settle, we still have a hearing on them. So we have to just keep them churning and burning and try to make things as efficient and as accessible as possible. On the accessibility topic, one thing that we do in our court that is different than many of the other courts is we always have Zoom available as an option. We call it a Zoom hybrid option. So we'll be in the courtroom, we got the big TV going on. We have many of our lawyers, family members, parties on the Zoom, but we also have people in the courtroom. So we kind of have to juggle that. And the reason I do that is because we have so many cases, and many of them don't take long. I mean, maybe 2 minutes to get in, get the testimony we need, get it approved, get people on their way. So my theory of this is, if you have a quick case, I would much rather you not take off work, not pay to park, not get childcare, not get all the things that disrupt your life, and be able to see what's going on in your case, participate, observe, have a say, but to do it in a more, you know, a little more friendly way. Now, that said, if you got a trial, you better get your booty down to court, because if you're going to be here all day, I need you in person. But for the small things, Zoom is a great option, and just know that that is always available in our court. And you can hit the Zoom link. You can find the Zoom link on the website of the Circuit Court Clerk. We're room 608. The other thing you can do, and people don't necessarily think about this, but you can just watch. You don't have to have a case. You just want to know what goes on in probate court, how are people treated, you know, what's this all about, how does this work? I've got a case coming up in 3 months, but I want to kind of get familiar with how it works. You can just watch. What you have to do is when you log on to the Zoom, my court officer, she tries to figure out like who goes with what case so that I don't miss anybody. And so she might do the chat with you that says, you know, are you here on a case? And you'll just say, no, I'm observing. And if you say that, she just lets you in to watch, okay? All right, I need to move on because Robin's going to pull the plug on me. Okay, so the other than is this about probation, the other big question I get is, well, what goes through probate? So that kind of speaks to the question I think that Robin said came up last time. You only go through probate when somebody has died and they owned property that didn't pass to a beneficiary some other way, okay? So if you got a joint bank account, you got your husband or your wife on the bank account with you as a joint owner, that does not go through probate. I don't have any say about that. That's just you, the bank, and your ownership papers, okay? Same thing with cars that are joint. Life insurance policies where you filled out the form to name a beneficiary. Again, that doesn't go through me. You just provide your claim form and your proof of who you are and your death certificate to the life insurance company, and they pay pursuant to the beneficiary designation. But that's hugely important to know, because when people do wills, they think, well, I did a will, so I say who gets my stuff. So if I say, you know, SunTrust Bank number such and such goes to Robin, but it's actually owned with me and my daughter, it doesn't go to Robin. It goes to who the bank says it goes to, okay? You know, so you just gotta kind of make sure that when you put a plan in place through a will, that it's consistent with the way you have things owned. So things that would pass through a will would be things that you own in your own name alone, without a joint owner, and without a designated beneficiary. So just keep that in mind. Now, a lot of people say, well, how do I avoid probate? And I said, well, okay, that hurt my feelings just a little bit, okay? But it's all right, I'll get over it. You know, and how you avoid probate is you don't own any probate assets, so you have it joint beneficiary designation. But then I push back a little more and I say, well, now why do you want to avoid probate, right? Not, you know, and they'll say the cost. I'll go, okay, well, that's fine. But if you have 5 children and you put your favorite trusted daughter on your accounts with you, and it's joint, and she walks into the bank with a death certificate, and she gets the money from the bank account, and you assume that she's going to share with her 4 brothers and sisters, because that's the right thing to do. Now, what she's going to say is, now, wait a minute, Mama put me on that account because I took care of her. I'm the favorite. I'm the good child. I never caused her any trouble. And so she's going to think, well, that's what Mom wanted, right? But the other 4 children are going to think, no, 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 no. They just did that for convenience to save a little money, avoid probate, and so forth. So, you know, all I'm saying there is just be mindful of the family dynamics, that sometimes going through probate is good because you get a little bit of a referee to, you know, make sure things come out fair. Now, in coming out fair, I can only do what your paperwork says. So let's talk about this. And I'm jumping around a little bit. As always, I'm not on script. People will ask, well, you know, what kind of things can I do to avoid having problems when I pass? And I would say number one thing is do a will, okay? Because if you don't do it, did you say don't? I don't have the you know, secret sauce for that one. But now just know this: if you do not have a will, then the law of the state of Tennessee will say where your stuff goes, and it may go exactly where you would want it to go, but maybe it doesn't, right? And it has all kind. I mean, they have like entire law school classes about the complicated statutes that apply when somebody passes away. And, you know, you may not realize that, well, stepchildren are not included, you know? You may not realize that when you pass with a spouse and children, it doesn't just go to your spouse. It goes to your spouse and children if you don't have a will. So what I always say is, you know, it's so difficult to understand the default laws that Tennessee put in place for who gets your stuff when you pass. So why not just do a will and go ahead and say what you want? Because you have the opportunity to override that. Now, next thing about that, though, here's part B to that. Please, 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 when you do a will, please don't do it yourself. The number one thing, and I had no idea until taking this job, how many problems were caused because people tried to do wills themselves, or because they got They went online and thought they had a trusted source online to help them do a will themselves, and it ended up just disastrous because either it wasn't signed the right way, it wasn't witnessed the right way, it wasn't notarized the right way, or once you start editing yourself, those things online, sometimes you end up saying things that completely do the opposite of what you're trying to do because the legalese and the terms are so kind of specific. And so my pitch today is, if you get some help from a lawyer to do a will and do it the right way, you're gonna spend a little bit of money. But I promise you, your family's gonna spend a whole lot more money on the back end trying to fix it. And you may end up having things go the way you didn't want them to go. And it's not on purpose, it's just, you gotta follow what the document says. Oh, please, yes, yes, sir. Yes. Well, you gotta make sure you don't lose the original, because losing the original causes a problem. Make sure the will was signed accurate, the right way, because Tennessee law is really strict about that. And if you don't sign it the right way, I can't honor it. Well, 2 witnesses, so typed out, right? Is it a typed out will? Okay. When it was signed, were there 2 witnesses present and they both signed the will at the same time as the maker of the will, right? You didn't try to do it 3 different places, right? You gotta have the testator, which is the person who makes the will. You gotta have 2 witnesses. They have to sign the actual will, not just an affidavit later. They gotta sign the will at the same time, and everybody has to be doing it in the same place, in their sight and presence is the. Oh, okay. And then, and just make sure it says like what is actually intended. Yeah, well, the notary part typically on there as well, but it's actually notarizing an affidavit of the witnesses, which can be and often should be done at the time it's signed, but it actually can be done later under some circumstances. And then don't lose the original, because the original is real important.
Judge Hedrick, I've had like at least 2 people call this week on probate court things. Okay, and I told one of them they should just come here this morning. And then I had a 3rd person, so 3 people called this week. One man, his wife passed away. They are divorced. He's paying child support, but the children live with him, which doesn't matter. But when he went down to cancel his child support, which he thought he could do, they refused to cancel that. Okay.
You see who I'm looking at over there?
Okay. And then the other thing that happens a lot in probate, I've spent months going to probate court. I've lost church members because they didn't win. They thought I should be able to get the judge to give it their way. They wanted to know about this stuff. What do you call it? Conservatorships.
Yes,
Isn't that set through probate?
it is.
So how do you decide who is the conservator? Why wouldn't I be my brother's conservator rather than an attorney?
Yeah.
Something like that.
I feel like he just set me up for the best question, because that's just what I want to talk about in those papers. Well, number one, on the child support, the truth of the matter is I know nothing about that, so I'm gonna punt that to Judge-elect Williams to answer that question. Well, just take care of your children. I mean, come on, whether you're ordered to pay it or not. Now, conservatorships, yes, that's handled in probate court. We do have some other courts that kind of help us out with some transfers just because of the, huge number of these that we have, and so there's some other judges who have pitched in to help out. But a conservatorship is when a person is living, okay, but they become so mentally disabled that they're unable to make legal decisions for themselves. And we're talking about money decisions, healthcare decisions, applying for benefits and services. And so when a person is living but has, the mental disability, the first thing you do is ask, well, okay, has that person given a power of attorney to anyone? And that's what's in these envelopes here. I wanted to show you an example. Okay, Robin, she's telling me to hurry up. I wanted to show you an example of that, the powers of attorney are one thing that I think you can successfully use the state-approved form and do that without an attorney if you want to. I put one in there that deals just with health care, okay? So that's making, talking to doctors, seeing your medical records, making medical decisions if you're unable to voice those decisions yourself. And then the other one is finances. Now that one, the financial power of attorney to me, I think is important, but a little risky, right? Because if you choose someone to be your financial power of attorney, you better trust them. It better be somebody who you would open up your checkbook to and say, I trust you to make sure my bills get paid and that you're not going to do wrong here. Now, what if that person who is disabled has no powers of attorney in place but are unable to make their own legal decisions? That's when you need a conservatorship. And a conservatorship is something that's monitored by the court that, the judge, me or the other judge assigned, would decide, do you need a conservator? Who that conservator should be, and whether that conservator should have to make detailed financial reporting with the court. And on the who it should be, there's a statutory preference, but, that basically follows your next of kin, your closest next of kin. So maybe you have 3 brothers, and all 3 of them are fighting over, who's going to be the one in charge. That's when the discretion of the judge comes in, and you have to hear testimony about, well, okay, what are your qualifications? What are your capabilities? Have you ever been convicted of a felony? Have you ever had a bankruptcy? Is there anything about you and your situation that we can't trust, right? So ultimately, it comes down to the judge to say who the conservator ought to be, and to either require or not require detailed financial reporting that can be pretty burdensome. I mean, we got to have, the court has a responsibility to oversee and make sure they're not abusing their authority. But at the same time, we don't want you to have to do so many things filed with the court that it's expensive and time-consuming and is keeping you from doing the most important job. So that process can sometimes just really go off the rails with families and can be very expensive, and it's hard to navigate without a lawyer. That's why I want you to at least think about and consider whether having a power of attorney might be something that would be helpful to you.
We got one question.
Okay.
Well, the question is, and you may not have the answer to this, but there are a lot of parents that I've known recently that are having a lot of issues with trying to get help for their mentally challenged adult children. Is that part of the conservatorship? And
Yeah.
how do they go about starting the process?
Yeah, I'll do it quick, I promise, Robin. So it's not just older folks that need conservatorship. Sometimes it's young adults with intellectual disabilities. So let's say your child has Down syndrome. You've taken care of your child from age 0 to 18, and you've had no problem doing it because you're the legal parent. The moment they turn 18, the schools, the doctors, everybody else want conservatorship papers. So you'd have to file a petition. You can do it yourself. You don't have to have a lawyer, but it's sure easier if you do. And what I see in the disability community a lot, the intellectual disability, is you get a lawyer just to get it opened, right? Because your child with an intellectual disability probably doesn't have any assets to manage. So if you can get a lawyer to help you at least get it open, get appointed, make sure your benefits and services as an adult are intact, then the lawyer can drop out and withdraw, and then all I would require every year is an annual status report, which is a little form we can get at the clerk's office. It's like $10 to file a year, and it helps me understand where that person is, that the conservator is still on the job, and that they still need the conservatorship.
You were really helpful.
If you all have a question, please raise your hand so they can see it instead of waiting till the last minute.
Okay. wonderful. And also Amy. Yeah, she'll be around, and Amy Willoughby, we'll get her in here. She is over all the once there's a filed and monitored, she monitors all those conservatorships. But the short answer is you gotta get a lawyer, to that. We are, now, and I'm gonna reset time. Here, we're gonna have, Judge, elect technically, but Judge Stephanie Williams. Let's give her a hand clap. She just won. And we are thrilled about her being added to the bench. She's
Stephanie, Andrea used part of your time.
That's fine. I don't have much of a voice, so that's okay.
but I'm super proud of her that she got out and ran for office and won. So congratulations to you. Thank you. All right, so let me start your time.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to take some of my time to really just thank some people for the opportunity to be here. First of all, to Pastor Fuzz, I've known him for a few years. He calls me his homegirl because we both went to Germantown High School, not at the same time. But he has always supported me and embraced me from the time I met him, and I really appreciate that, Pastor Fuzz. That meant a lot to me. And then Pastor Joyner, as he said, we've known each other for a while as well. And he's always been so encouraging and inspiring to me. And I tell you, when you run a race like this, under the circumstances in which I had to run, it really does help when you've got people that have been a supporter for a long time that you know are in your corner. I see Jim Schulman back here, and he is one of those people who stepped up to the plate and really went all out. And Judge Kimbrough, she will meet you wherever you need her to meet you with some oil for prayer, because she did that for me. When she reached out to me one day and said, how can I help us? I just need you to pray for me. She's like, okay, where do you want me to meet you? And I was like, okay. And we went to a parking lot at the YMCA, and she had her oil, and we prayed. And I just thank everybody for this amazing journey. It was difficult. It was a difficult decision to make for me to run for this office under the circumstances in which I had to do it. It was a really long journey and experience, but all of your smiling and friendly faces and words of encouragement and support and everybody I met on the journey made all the difference, and I thank you all. I thank you for voting. I thank you for getting other people out to vote and taking an interest in me and in my story. And so now I can say I am the judge-elect for the Fourth Circuit Court, and I'm really excited. When the results came in on Tuesday night at my watch party, I just started screaming, so I lost my voice. But I started jumping up and down and screaming because we were very optimistic and hopeful, but we did not realize we would have the outcome that we had in a four-way race, that we got 66% of the vote. And so that was truly God, I have to say. That was absolutely God showing who he is and what he can do. And I do have to give him all the praise and honor and glory for that. Absolutely. So the Fourth Circuit Court has been my home for a little over 9 years. I had to take a little break to run for judge, but I'd lived in that space for a little over 9 years and practiced in that court since the beginning of my career in 2002. We are a family court. We're the only court in Davidson County that does adoptions. And we also, the main caseload we have are divorces and everything that comes with that, which includes obviously matters of alimony and division of marital property. And when children are involved, obviously parenting arrangements and child support, financial obligations, and all those different things. And we do handle orders of protection as well, in particular in a space where we have married couples. So we do domestic violence and some termination of parental rights cases. My vision for Fourth Circuit Court is to make it more user-friendly and make sure it is something that is really a resource for our community, and to try to break some of the molds that have been put in place over time and over the years. I'm really glad, Judge Hedrick, that you're here today because you're on my list to call. I want to implement that hybrid system of a virtual space where people can have an option to show up and participate in their court without some of the barriers and inconveniences that it can take. To do that, we need to respect what it takes for people to come to court. And if it's not necessary for them to be there in person, give them some options. And so that's one of the things that we will look to do, I will do, as I take office in Fourth Circuit Court, is creating a system in which people can participate virtually. We will also work very hard in conjunction with the Circuit Court Clerk's Office and their Resource Center, and making sure we've got a family aspect to that Resource Center where we are providing and giving information to families about resources available in the community that strengthen them and help them through their transitions, so that we can look and seek better outcomes for our families as they're going through their transitions. So the biggest thing that we do in Fourth Circuit Court is divorce, quite frankly. That's our larger caseload. And that is a very difficult time in people's life. It is where we see all the emotions. So the sixth floor of the courthouse, as Judge Hedrick was saying, that's where all the emotions are. That's where we've got our two family courts and our probate court. And so, we're navigating through, obviously, the disappointment of separation, the fear of a new life for people now that they're going to be separated from their spouse, and what that's going to look like for them and their children and their families, their stability, and all of these things. And so managing and navigating that through with people in a partnership is a little bit more of what I want people to experience when they come through our courts. We're not there to beat up on somebody. We're not there to tell them what terrible things they've done in a relationship or as a parent. We're there to help guide them through being stronger and help give them a roadmap to follow as they go forward. And so that's the tone that we are looking to set in that process. So in that realm, a lot of people like to look at divorce as, oh my gosh, I can't wait for the judge to hear this about my spouse. And boy, he or she is really going to get it. I can't wait for that to happen. That's going to be pretty uneventful, generally speaking, in court. We've got to look at certain factors, use our own background and experiences to understand what we think is going to be in the best interest of a child, of a family, what we think is going to be fair and reasonable in a financial obligation, if alimony is going to be given up, what we think is going to be equitable, and how we're dividing the marital estate. And quite frankly, bad actors don't really factor into those equations a lot of times, unless it impacts somebody's safety or well-being, in particular that of a child. And so that's what we have to stay focused on when we are doing those things. Domestic violence is very huge, unfortunately bigger than it needs to be and it should be, as we heard earlier today. And that is something we take very seriously in the Fourth Circuit Court. We want our children to be safe. We know that when children and households and in families experience and witness domestic violence, it sets them on a trajectory that is not a good space. So we want to make sure that children are in households that are harmonious, that are calm, that parents are getting the necessary skills so that they can understand how to understand the emotions that are happening with them, how they can understand how to navigate them, that people that are in unsafe positions can comfortably get into a safe position and feel good about that. And here's another victor from this week, our property assessor, Vivian Wilhoit. And so we have tools and opportunities that we want to put in place to make sure that we have those safeguards in place to the extent that we can, that we make sure that if people have firearms, that they are turning those over so that they don't have access to the tools where someone can get hurt through a firearm. And even kind of continuing to work with our legislature to let them know, these are the laws that you all are putting down that we're having to follow, but here's how it's really playing out. There are some unintended consequences here, and we need you to understand that and maybe revisit some aspects of what you're doing to strengthen what you're doing or to modify it in a way that really makes sense and how we need to see it play out in our courts. And so I'm very excited to be in the position to implement those things and to take the lead on those. So that's the essence of what we do in our courts. And normally people have a lot of questions about family law because it typically impacts us all. So I will use the rest of my time to answer questions. Okay, great question. So the election that we just had this week was a primary. And so then a general election still follows from that. The good news is I do not have any opposition in the general election. So my victory in the primary essentially provides the victory in the general election. But the general election is not until August the 1st. Still need you to go out and vote on that day. There will definitely be other things on the ballot that are going to be very important to our community on that day as well. So August the 1st is that primary, and then the official start date for the seat is September the 1st. since I am serving the remainder of a term. For those of you who are unaware, this was a special election because my dear friend and mentor, Judge Philip Smith, passed in September of 2022 at the very beginning of his 8-year term. And so this is to fill the rest of that term. So there will be 6 years left on this term. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. We've talked before, and the last conversation I had with my son's mother is that we're going to talk to the mother of our grandchild and see if we can make arrangements to see him that way. But if we can't,
No, but I will bring up about grandparents' rights. People are curious to know in general what are the rights of grandparents when it comes to children. And I can say grandparents are very special. Grandchildren are very special. I've got two. I have a 5-year-old and a 4-month-old, both little girls. And grandparents only have a legal right essentially when a legal parent is unavailable for some reason. So for example, if a legal parent passes, maybe they're incarcerated, then grandparents can kind of, for lack of better words, step into the shoes of that parent and ask the court for specific visitation with the children. It's still not that black and white. There are other factors the court has to look at, like the relationship that has existed, if there's going to be some harm or detriment to the children, if the court does not create that relationship, and if the parent that is still involved or still accessible or around, if they are voluntarily giving some visitation. But I say all that to say grandparents' rights, quite frankly, in Tennessee are quite limited. And so the best option is to try to have a good relationship with the child's parents, because that is how you're able to foster the best relationship with the grandchild.
Yes, so I just wanted to ask, so you don't start until after the general election, and so the person who's currently appointed, they continue to serve in that role until the end of the, I guess you're sworn in after the general election, is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Spencer?
What resources do you need from the community?
That's a great question. Resources.
What resources do you need from the wider community to make, because you have a very, very important role to play, especially in dealing with a lot of our societal issues?
So resources that are needed, A, is for me to show up places like this, because the resource I get from the community is the feedback I get from the community. And so my goal is to be in the community so I can be in places and spaces and I can understand how our court is impacting them and what adjustments we may need to make to serve better, or to be able to explain why certain things are certain ways so that they can understand how the process can work best for them. But feedback is the most important it was the most important thing. Two-way conversations make a difference when it comes to doing things and doing things well.
All right, thank you all so much. Let's give her a hand.
Thank you.
And I didn't mean to cut the question off, but you can't like ask us things that may happen on our docket. Like that can happen on the docket. So like people ask questions a lot of times of judges, but if it can come to our docket, we can't answer. So thank you, but she did a great job of getting to the point there. Great job. Let's thank all three of these speakers. They were excellent. We're going to have a few words from Pastor Gleason Rogers, and then we're going to present our Women's History Month awards from One Nashville.
All right. Well, good morning. How's everyone? Good. As Judge Kimbrough said, I am Pastor Gleason Rogers. I pastor the Boyd Street Missionary Baptist Church, but I also serve as a director in HR for Tractor Supply Company. I served for 3 years as Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and now I'm currently serving as Director of Talent and Leadership Development. I'm here today on behalf of several people in which I have served and represented as Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. I will say to you that we have a true issue at Tractor Supply, and we need the community's help. The issue that we have is that we have a lot of African American and people of color who have been let go from the company because they wanted to speak up for diversity or because they worked in an area that supported diversity, okay? I have several stories that I want to share with you today, and we actually have a total of about 14 team members, some current and some former online. We have 2 people here today that are with me. Lenore, thank you for being here. And then we have about 25 people who have said we want to stand and fight for this cause and make sure things are done right. But I'll tell you, there's many stories that I can share. One story I will share is that we have a team member that has been at Tractor Supply for over 27 years and spent over half her life at Tractor Supply. She served as president of our African American Employee Resource Group. She did a phenomenal job. She spoke up. She did things that needed to be done to support the people of color, to have our people of color promoted. And when she did those things, there were people in the company that did not like that and became very upset with her. And when they became very upset with her, all of a sudden, her job is eliminated. Now, she's been here 27 years. Not only has she been here 27 years, but they eliminated her job and everyone in her department, and then they take her job description and give it to a recruiting firm and says, can you find us a manager to come in and manage this department? Now that doesn't sound like a job elimination. That doesn't sound like that was an issue where the company was outsourcing. That is an issue of that the people were not happy with what she was doing and saying and what they had elected her to do, and so it was a way to put her out. My brothers and sisters, we have been in a place, and we are in a place where people are wanting to put people out, shut people up. It's too much discrimination, harassment, bullying, hostile work environment, and it is causing our people mental health conditions. I spoke to a former team member yesterday. That former team member told me that they were suicidal. They were put on antidepressants. They were put on anxiety medicine. They went through a stage where they didn't want to get up out of the bed, didn't want to say anything to anyone because a company came looking for them and saying to them, we want you to come work for us. We want you to be part of diversity. And it was fine, and it was good, and it was pleasant while it was the George Floyd issue. Okay? After the George Floyd issue was over, diversity was over. Talk to me, somebody. And that's a problem. Okay? The other thing is, okay. Okay. All right. So I am been told that because of the time, we're going to have to go and move on. But Judge Robin Kimbrough has said that she will have me back next week to speak. So next month. Next session. Okay. Next session. Yes. And so if anyone wants to talk with us, please meet us in the back conference room. I am asking this. I have 4 people who were people of color, and there were 6 people on the diversity recruiting team. Out of those 6 people, everyone was eliminated. Out of those, 2 people who were not people of color got a job. And the 4 people who were people of color did not get a job. That's a problem. Here sits a mother that her son was my intern, legal intern from the School of Southern, where he's working on his law degree, a single mother. She was let go, and then when she applied for other jobs, she has a master's degree, 20 years of human resources experience, and she's told that she's not qualified. But we hire somebody else who knows a friend of a friend who just graduated from the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga, and just graduated and have no work experience, and pay them $10,000 more. We have an issue. Let's fix it next month. So if you all can, we are starting a campaign, a writing, so you can email our board of directors by going on, and meet me after. I'll give you that information so that you can.
They'll be in the back.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, I want to say thank you to everyone who came out this morning. We do plan to start at 8 o'clock and end timely. So we're going to recognize 4 women for Women's History Month. And I want to say all of you all in this audience deserve an award, the women. You all have worked hard. You've supported One Nashville. You've taken care of your families. And we honor you. So before further ado, we want to honor Dr. Myrna Berry. Miss Ellis, can you go up here and take pictures and get my phone here and get some pictures for us? Dr. Berry, One Nashville just wants to honor you. You spend a lot of time honoring other people. People don't know it, but you've taken care of your own children as adults and your grandchildren. And sometimes we do these things and we don't feel appreciated. But we want you to know today that God watches over you. And in due season, you shall reap everything that you've sown. We honor you today, One Nashville. Come on, Reverend folks. It's a certificate of recognition. We are proudly presenting. I don't have my glasses on, Reverend Fuzz.
Dr. Myrna Berry, for leadership, achievement, and commitment to the community, Woman of the Year, Women's History Month, March 2024.
We are so proud of you. Okay.
Y'all get me.
Okay. All right. Oh, congratulations. Thank you so much. All right. Our next recipient is the Reverend Dr. Benita Lewis. All right.
You better walk.
Reverend Lewis, certificate says the same thing, and we want to honor you for all the advocacy and work that you do in the Nashville community. And we want to just say that we honor you here at One Nashville for everything that you do, have done, and are going to do, because the
Yes,
best
come
is
on.
yet to come.
That's right.
In due season, you shall reap what you sow.
Come on, come on.
Okay. You ready, sir?
Happy Daffy the Clown.
Be careful. Be careful. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. I hope I say this wonderful woman's name, Garthwaite, correctly. Kathleen Garthwaite. We honor you today. We honor you. We honor you today for all the work that you do around voting. And we honor you because you have been fully committed to the mission and work of One Nashville. And we just want to say thank you. So today, One Nashville honors you as Woman of the Year.
All of these white women who are here, these are Kathleen's friends, aren't they? She caught on fire, and she believed in One Nashville. And I've met some really good people. Her husband's gonna take me to breakfast after this meeting over at the soda shop. Isn't that right, Tom? You're not taking me to breakfast?
I love this woman. She makes sure that we're on task with One Nashville, our agenda, and all that. And I just want to say I appreciate you.
Thank you.
And in due season, you shall reap what you sow. Thank you. All right. Oh.
Y'all didn't take a picture?
Thank you. We appreciate you so much. We appreciate you. We are honoring today Judge Stephanie Williams. I know she's judge-elect, but I wanted to go ahead and have Judge on this certificate. We congratulate you. You have made history for our judiciary, and we honor you today. And in due season, you shall reap what you sow. Come on. And remember, the only things that you do for Christ will last.
It's your season.
It's your season.
It's your season.
We thank you so much. Congratulations. Thank you. Woman of the Year.
My homie.
Okay, great.
Proud of
Thank
you,
you so
girl.
much. All right.
Robin, we have a special thing, something about women. Something for women only. Dr. Otis Clay, tell us.
Let me say it. Good morning, my brothers and sisters, pastors, brothers, and all of my brothers and sisters here. I am, thank you very much. I'm Otis Clayton, and certainly I'm delighted to be here. I've met so many of you all. I'm part of NAACP Nashville, but I live in Hendersonville. Having said that, I published 3 books last year. One of the books especially is about women, courageous women in the Bible. I have 5 sermons in the Old Testament, 5 in the New Testament. I couldn't finish one of the sermons until my mother was sick in Memphis. I'm going to sit down, Judge, in a minute here. My mother, Elizabeth Clayton, may she rest in peace, raised 9 children, 5 boys and 4 girls as a single parent mother. I moved back to Tennessee from Colorado because I discovered, Judge, that my mother was ill. You ain't got but one mother, okay? So I sold my house in Colorado and came back and bought a house in Hendersonville, Tennessee, and would go every other week, Judge, to be with my mother as she said, when the Lord called me home, I want to leave in my house. And so I was at her bedside when she died, December the 7th, 2022. When she breathed her last breath and went home to be with the Lord and the ancestors. But it's one sermon I couldn't complete, you all, until my mother passed. And I was able to complete that sermon. John, when Jesus was on the cross and his mother Mary was there. And that sermon, I called that the Dear Mother Experience. And so that's in this book. So I celebrate all women. And as I celebrate women, I always celebrate mama. Amen. And so I don't know about you, but you ain't going to have but one mother. And if you have a mother, make sure you love her and tell her you love her every day. because I haven't gotten over losing my mother. As having said that, I'm honored to be here, happy. And to me, it's not one Women's Month. Every day is Women's every day. So I'm just taking my hats off to you. Tomorrow, I'm having a book signing ceremony at my friend's church, Reverend Dr. Robert Bell in Hendersonville, Tennessee, St. John Missionary Baptist Church. Also, my books on Amazon.com. I published 3 books last year, but I'm working on 2 for this year. I'm trying to catch up with Dr. Fuzz. Amen. He's published many books. I'm just teasing him. I'm just trying to write. I'm able to write and publish right now, and I thank God. I'm blessed. Thank you very much. Also, I'm the chaplain of Sumter County Military Officers Association. Amen. Thank you. God bless you.
Well, do we have any other quick announcements before we close out with One Nashville? Let me go on this side.
Some people know Dr. Lester. He was a great pastor, African-American pastor in Belmead.
Blakemore United Methodist Church and Clark United Methodist Church, and he pastored 12:30 at Blakemore United Methodist Church.
Hey, everybody. I just want to announce that we're doing our spring kickoff of events at our center, and we're doing stuff with major community stuff going on in Bordeaux. So I'm with Dedicated Senior Medical Center. And in precedence of time, please just come see me afterwards. And if I haven't met you, I would like to share what we're doing in the community. One of them is with the NFL Alumni Association for Vaccine Hesitancy.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, everybody on this side. Okay, then we go to Judge Hedrick behind Karen Johnson. Okay.
Okay. I'm Karen Johnson. I just want to announce, y'all, I got allergies. But we are having our 20th anniversary of the Southeast Nashville Egg Hunt and Festival from 10 to 2, Saturday, March 23rd.
That's right.
And we invite everyone to come out and bring your children, grandchildren. We're going to have a great event.
I'm
Thank
already
you.
signed up. I got my booth. You can count on me every year. Judge Hedrick, and I apologize. I know you didn't see her back there.
So I forgot to mention in my remarks earlier that we have a position available for high school youth, paid internship position in our court this summer. It's through the Metro Action Commission, poweryouth.nashville.gov. They're paying $15 an hour for 16 to 19-year-olds to work in our court and to learn a little bit about what goes on. The program dates are, the work dates are between June 3rd and July 19th. The applications are open currently and they close on May 18th. I'm going to do my best to put a little more information about this on the Facebook page for One Nashville. Just one for me. There are many positions across the county.
Correct.
But I'm offering one position in my court this summer.
This announcement is really important. A lot of young people don't know this. Metro Action Power Program, they are hiring these students. They get $15 an hour. Right here, Ms. Bentley had an announcement. They get $15 an hour. I actually have 3 positions. 2 of them are filled, and people are applying for the other one. I'm doing a junior judicial assistant position. So that is so important. Thank you for making that announcement. Ms. Bentley?
Hello, my name is LaToya Bentley, and I'm a part of One Nashville, and I'm also a part of a couple other organizations that love to do things in the community. So the month of March, we are going to be collecting gently used and new luggage, large backpacks, duffel bags, the rolling luggage. We're collecting those for the whole month of March because in the month of April, we're going down to the Downtown Presbyterian Church. We usually go and serve at least once a month or every other month. And we're going to be passing them out to the unhoused. So if you have anything that you would like to donate, I'm asking you to bring it to the next meeting for One Nashville, which is April, I think it's the 3rd. When is the next one? Second Saturday of every month. So it's the second Saturday of the month. But we'll have it out, but So what you do is just bring it, and then you will give it to me, and I have a place to put it, but we're gonna give them out. Okay. So this is a good reason to go out and buy you some new luggage.
And if you want, if you drop it here at the church or Reverend Fuzz's house, that'd be great. We'll make sure it gets to Miss Bentley. And she does a great project there at the Presbyterian Church, and we're gonna have some conversation about doing a volunteer project through One Nashville and teaming up with her. Any other announcements that I missed? I want to thank Reverend Croney for running the audio visual, our Facebook, and all of that good stuff this morning. I want to say that we're out at 9:25. May you be blessed. May you be encouraged, and may you serve. May you go out and serve One Nashville.
Our district attorney is also here, Glenn Funk.
Let me before we step away, since we got a couple more minutes, General Funk, we're always thrilled to have you here, and I'll be in touch with you and Miss Martisa Johnson. I'll both have you all on the program. I want to thank my wonderful husband for coming out to support this morning on One Nashville. He knows I'm actually going to the Y after this. I've got changing. I'm not going to be Wonder Woman today. I'm in this dress now. I'm going to be in the water in about an hour, and then I'm going to be speaking at a tea, blah, 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 blah. And I forgot my stuff at home, and my wonderful husband went back and got it for me, so I want to thank you for that. I want to say be blessed, be encouraged, and let us say it together. Remember, we are One Nashville. Let's say it like we really mean it. We are One Nashville. Have a great, and we'll see you next time, okay? Thank you. Oh, and may God be blessed. Okay. Pastor Jordan is going to say a blessing.
Lord God, we thank you for this meeting. We thank you for each and every one attended. Now we pray for safe travel to our many different destinations. Amen.